So I am super crazy excited today to be interviewing Jim Ross.
I've spent the last year and a half learning from the top earners in the industry, and now I'm putting my business plan into action. The question is, how will I do it without being a tech genius or having supermodel good looks? Join me and follow along as I learn, put into action, and share my journey. I am Sarah Peterson, and you're listening to MLM Marketing Explosion.
Jim Ross does storage things, and he has a podcast that is self-storage domination. Did I remember that right?
The podcast is actually the self-storage show, but I do everything else around self-storage domination. Yep.
Perfect. So you better go look him up, Self-Storage Domination, and I'll let you rename the podcast at the end because I think it's so cool. Who would have ever thought a podcast around self-storage? So awesome. I was introduced to Jim through a One Funnel Away challenge that we did, and he actually was the winner with Russell Brunson because his offer was so amazing and everything he was doing was so amazing that he flat out won with Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels. So I was just so excited for you guys to get to be introduced to him and see what he's doing. And, Jim, how did you get into self-storage? How did that all come about? How did it become an offer, so to speak?
I was a little boy dreaming about being in the storage industry. No one dreams about that kind of thing. I started it honestly 20 years ago. That was my first kind of gig as actually a paying job kind of a thing. And no, actually it wasn't so much that I fell in love with storage itself. I'm not that kind of boring, but more the fact of just the business around it. Because there's so many managers or like a one-man band kind of a thing that they're running like $1 million, multi-million-dollar business, but there's not much training around it. So many people just kind of like the owners will hand the keys over to somebody and say, don't screw it up, good luck, and then that's it. And so I started as a manager for a long time, and then I started becoming as an employee with somebody else and overseeing a bunch of different storage sites. And honestly, I was an employee for a long time. It wasn't until fairly recently that I jumped ship, so to speak, and kind of building my own pirate ship and, going on my own. But it's still in the storage industry, but now providing those services on my own business.
That is so cool. Are you willing to share what you're doing with that side of it?
Oh yeah, no. When I decided, I as Russell always says, you got to funnel hack everybody. I honestly used him as a model for everything. When I decided to go on my own, year and a half, almost 2 years ago now, I just sat down and kind of brainstormed, like, all right. And I started reading, wasn't Expert Secrets, it was .com Secrets. I have his books right there, so I had to look and see what book it was. And I started reading that and just started, basically, if you said to do it, I did it. And I figured, okay, well, first off, he wrote a book. So I sat down and gave myself a 2-week window. I figured you could probably say it's going to take 6 months to write a book and it's going to take you 6 months. Or I could say it's going to take me 2 weeks and it's going to take me 2 weeks. So I did it. I just wrote 2 weeks and kind of reverse engineered it, how long it's going to take. And I wrote a book. So I figured that would be a great lead in for all sorts of people to kind of learn about what I'm doing and providing value and talk about funnel hacking. If you know his book, I even kind of copied and modeled his, the book cover, but it works. So I did that. And then, of course, he's always talking about publishing. So as you mentioned, I have the Self-Storage Show podcast. And did we freeze up?
I think we froze up again, but that's okay.
No, we're good. It takes a second sometimes, it buffers. But no, for that, I use that as a tool to, just of course talk about what I can bring value, but it's great connections. When you kind of have a show, again, it's not the average Joe is like listening to a self-storage podcast, but of course those that are in the industry, hey, it's going to be of interest to them. And it kind of immediately becomes a authority figure. And now I have people all throughout the industry are asking to be on that show and be interviewed. And it's kind of a cool tool.
I think my favorite part about your whole story is that I would never in a million years in the very beginning of this journey have ever thought that you can make this whole business around self-storage and become the guru of self-storage. And I think my favorite thing about that is that you could literally, I mean, it was so inspiring because you could literally take any industry and
Yeah.
become that guru. And so I think that's really cool. But I'm going to guess that you're about the master in terms of self-storage and the way you set it up, which is all marketing, which is so cool.
Yeah.
What was your, I'm going to ask you twofold questions. The first one is, what was the easiest thing for you in terms of, I know you had great mentors, but what was the easiest thing, and where did you maybe, or was there any where you maybe hit a hiccup or wall that you weren't expecting? When did you get over it?
Honestly, I laid everything out what I wanted to do, and that came as far as like having the book and having these different kind of the podcasts and having these different downloads. I was kind of spread out everywhere. That was the problem, wasn't focused. And so that was a hiccup. I was so spread out. It was just kind of the shotgun approach. We're just trying to throw everything against the wall and to kind of see what stuck. And then lo and behold, there comes the 30-day challenge. And honestly, it wasn't until then, and we started going through the things with Steven and having, when we had that one session, it was about all the value that you're bringing, different kind of products. Well, of course, I'm just sitting there, writing everything down. Like, well, I got this, I got that, I got that. It wasn't until that day of like packaging it into some kind of offer that made sense. And then that was kind of the easier part, is just packaging it all together. The hardest part is actually just getting everything done in the first place. Again, it's not like I clicked my fingers and all this stuff was done. I mean, I have, again, like the book and the podcast, and I've done this kind of PDF downloads and different kind of audios. So I've had that built up over time. So it's not like it's just an overnight thing. You just click your fingers and it's going to be done. But if I look back on it and the different things I've done and different kind of value offers I've put together, people always, again, they kind of it's going to take more time than it really does. If you just give yourself a deadline and get it done, that's just it. You kind of give yourself self-imposed deadlines have been huge for me. And that part of that 30-day challenge, you had those self-constraints where you had to get it done, and otherwise you're going to get left behind. That was huge. And it was able to put that value in that package together that I could actually see, oh, wow, it kind of makes sense now. And that kind of led into, I used it as a model. Like there was the book offer, that was kind of the front end offer. And then I did the challenge. I hack everything. So I hacked the challenge and did my own challenge. Starting in January, but I'm already up to 180 some odd people that are going to be going through it. Doing it all through Facebook Live and Zoom meetings like we're doing now. Because that kind of goes back to when I was, again, my market is trying to help managers that are kind of on their own and they're just kind of feel like they're on their own little island. It's going to help build that community and building value and helping those people. Plus they get those connections so they can build their own businesses and help themselves. That's where it's coming down.
I think one of my favorite things that you just said was that you just jumped in and you went
Yeah.
and kind of figured out how to do it as you did it. And I'm just curious, did you do it as a wait list, or did you have everything built out before you started?
No. No, it's kind of like build the boat as you're as you're drowning kind of a thing. Or no, I put it out there, said, hey, I started in January because I figured just because the timing wise and all that, people want to start new things and the first of the year. Well, it just made sense because of the timing. I don't think it really matters what, that's kind of lined up for me. No, I started advertising it before it was done. I knew what the framework was going to be, and obviously I'm funnel hacking the 30-day challenge as much as I can as far as the way that structured is. But no, I started advertising it and getting people on the wait list before it was done. In fact, I'm pretty much planning it out where it's going to be 30 days, obviously, but I'm going to plan out 1 week at a time. I'm going to see how that first week goes and get some feedback and see how it goes. And I'm going to kind of be adjusting it on the fly. I think people get more value out of that anyway, because they can kind of see it evolving as we're doing it together.
think that's amazing. That was a huge golden nugget if you guys didn't catch that. He's kind of letting his audience choose what they want to know about.
Yep.
And I think that's super smart. You already knew you had a niche for it. You already had an audience. Again, I don't think that I've ever heard of a self-storage podcast or a self-storage, not that I was looking for it.
No, exactly.
I think that that is so cool. So as you've been going through all this process, I know that you kind of threw yourself into the fire, so to speak, which I also think is cool because I think there's a lot of people that get those ideas and kind of sit on it. Was this something that you woke up one day as you were reading these books and went, aha, I've got it? Or was this an idea that you sat on for a long time? And as you've been going through this, you know, for the past almost, I'm going to say 20 years, because it's kind of been 20 years in the making.
Pretty much.
Pretty much, right? What's your biggest piece of advice for anybody that wants to start out, for anybody that's trying to figure out what their offer could be or what they have to offer, so to speak?
Yeah, well, again, it kind of comes down to what they have experience in and what their passion is. Yeah, it's not that I have a huge passion in self-storage. No, it's more about the business itself and the people that are in that business of helping them. Self-storage is just kind of the vehicle. And I'm more about helping the members. So no, it's just a matter of, again, planning it out as far as, and again, just kind of those brainstorm sessions of just, what are you passionate about? What is your, if you are in your specific industry, great. Just start mapping things out of what could be of value, what you could offer to everybody, and just start. Again, I wish I would have done this. Again, I was an employee, and it wasn't until I jumped and started doing it myself. But looking back, I wish I would have done this 10 years ago. Maybe the technology is catching up now, but I wish I would have made that switch much longer ago, because now I'm kind of in the driver's seat on what I want to do. And it's a solopreneur effort. You know, it's me, myself, and I, which is like, it's kind of great having these kind of things. You get to talk to other people that are, so you're not so lonely. There's other of us out there. That's great to have. No, it's just a matter of just jumping in. I see a lot of people get kind of stuck with technology aspect of it. I don't know anything when it comes to tech, when it comes to designing ads or designing the book or designing how to launch a podcast or how to do YouTube ads. I mean, I just did a YouTube pre-roll ad yesterday. I didn't know what the crap I was doing. I just Googled it and I followed along to a tutorial for 5 minutes. I just followed along each step, and now I've got like 300 hits in the last 2 hours off of a YouTube pre-roll ad. Don't know. Don't be scared. I was thinking, again, just in my industry, in my own head, what are people going to say? Are people going to think it's dumb or a stupid idea? I don't care anymore. I think it takes more guts to go on your own and do your own thing. And people don't have anything negative to say. I think it's more of a mirror about themselves, that they wish they would have done it. So it's just jumping in and trying. And if it fails, well, no one else is going to know except really for yourself. No one else is paying attention. You just keep trying. Like I said, that's why I've been doing this for, the last couple of years, of trying different things and throwing things out there. But now it's coming into focus, and it's kind of like a magnifying glass. I'm really focusing on that one core offer that we, had talked about and went through the challenge together. And again, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, well, we're going to do little tweaks here and there. I'm not afraid to fail. That's the bottom line.
I think that is so cool. So, again, this is Jim Ross. If you don't know who he is, which chances are, if you're not in the self-storage industry, you don't know who he is.
You don't know who I am.
And you know what? That's actually kind of powerful too, because your industry doesn't have to be everybody. It can, dial it in, right? But, go check out his podcast. Go see what he's doing. Go offer hack him and see if you can, turn that into your niche, because your niche probably is not self-storage wars, although it might be a self-storage wars. It's not a war, but self-storage.
That'd be fun. Yeah. That's already been done.
Yeah, that's true. It has, right? That's a TV show. That's probably why it's stuck in my brain. But And if you are in self-storage, go grab onto his coattails. I mean, this guy's going places and he knows where he's going and he's got this amazing offer. And how cool is that to have a whole podcast just devoted to that whole niche? Because um, there are a dime a dozen in my town, and you've got to stand out and you've got to know how to market, or you are going to get lost by those big boys. And I think you deal with that as well, is how to stay at the top of your A game so you aren't swallowed up. And that's super powerful. And you're right, there's so many people that don't know how to do it yet. And so you can come along and be this leader. I'll throw out the name of that podcast again, because I think that is so, and I love, you got to go check out his cover. His cover is so cool.
No, the podcast is called The Self-Storage Show. And I kind of kept it generic just because it helped a lot of people be willing to come on. I used to have another one, by the way, that was under a different name, but it was almost like I was being self-promotional and people didn't want to come on. Where I kept it more generic name, it opened up a lot more people to say yes, to want to come on. So little tidbit there. If it's not totally self-promotional type of a podcast, it seems like more people want to be involved in it. So
that's actually a really cool tip too. And I don't think I've ever heard that tip before. So you just got me too.
Good.
That's awesome. So thanks so much again. Any last words of advice?
Just try. Like I said, don't be afraid to fail. just jump in and just start working. Every day I give myself 3 steps. I don't care if it's big, small, it's usually small. I just do step 1, step 2, step 3. And if I do those 3 things in that day, it's a good day. And it just keeps progressing. So just start.
Hey, you rock. Thanks for being on today, and keep watching Jim because he's going big places.
Thanks for the confidence.
I'm serious. I think it's awesome. So thanks a bunch. And I'd love, actually, if you're willing, in a couple months to come back on after you've got this challenge launched and give us an update on how it's going. Because that's
definitely. Yep, I would love to.
Thanks. Okay, so that is, one more time, the self-storage show, correct?
Yep, exactly.
Are you tired of bugging your family and friends and bumping into the same people all over social media trying to pitch your opportunity? If so, grab your team members and go to www.marketingexplosion.org and pick up your free copy of MLM Momentum. It's going to teach you how to get people coming to you and applying for your opportunity. It's also going to teach you how to get paid for prospecting. See you soon.